Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited about what today will bring. I'm well trained and highly motivated by the task at hand. Yesterday's problems are today's possibilities. Yesterday's obstacles are today's opportunities. I shall not fail. What I lack in skill, I will make up with enthusiasm. Victory is my destiny because I'm excited about what this day will bring. Good afternoon, everyone at the Online Storytellers Festival. My name is Darren DC Lyons, and I am a writer, coach, and speaker, and I am here to talk about my book, With Worn Out Tools, Navigating the Rituals of Midlife. It is on the screen. It is on the screen. That's how I introduce myself about this book, but I also have another introduction. I'm a double below knee amputee, stroke survivor, dialysis patient with a heart condition. Now that's a lot. So I want to repeat that. I'm a double below knee amputee, stroke survivor, dialysis patient with a heart condition. And I write a lot about that in my book. And that's like my story in my book and all the other book that I've written, which is A Day in the Life of a Skilled Nursing Facility, in a skilled nursing facility, the stories of a young man trapped in a nursing home. I write about my experience being thrown into the medical industry. After having a great and wonderful career, I'm thrown into the medical industry. And my story starts in earnest in the book around my 50th birthday. And it has some overriding themes in my book. Themes about resiliency, resiliency, optimistic humor, accountability, and relationship. It's kind of the ROAR model. And my book starts in earnest on my 50th birthday. I'm celebrating a great career. I was traveling the world. I was director of global customer care for a large retail organization, traveling the world, building relationships all over the world, and then I'm thrown into this health condition. And I say that it is rituals of midlife because midlife has its rituals. Think about it. Hollywood is filled with rituals and stories about coming of age, and they're mostly celebrated, and you feel good about it. First kiss, first car, first first marriage, all these rituals. But midlife is filled with rituals as well, and they are not quite so celebrated. There's divorce, changing of career, being forced out of a job, moving, relocation, and like mine, illness. With Worn Out Tools is my story about the rituals I went through and how I had to climb back from being a corporate executive to being a handicapped person, a below knee amputee. That's actually my first issue, being a handicapped person. Thank you so much, Ethan. Glad you're here as well. So in February of 2017, I limped my way into an Oklahoma City emergency room with a wound on my left leg. 2 days later, they amputated my left leg below my knee to save my life. Think about it. Previously, I've been traveling the world, building relationships, building this awesome career, and now I am a below knee amputee, trying to decide what I will do with the rest of my life, my third act. Really, I was in between jobs. So not only did I have this illness to deal with, but I also had to find another job. We'll talk about that in a little while. My story continues with going through the process of rehabilitation, getting a prosthetic leg, which is a metal and plastic limb, learning how to walk again. And just when I started to do that, I started dialysis because my kidney gave up. That's my story. That's what I went through. And I want to relate to you all kind of how I made my way through that and talk a little bit about how I grew in resilience. That's the subject for today, resilience. Would love to see your stories about resilience as well. Now, I've done a lot of podcasts about my book with Worn Out Tools. And what people often want to know is, where does the title of the book come from? The title with Worn Out Tools. And actually, it comes from the fourth stanza of the poem If. Like the poem If You Can Keep Your Head With All About You. And the fourth stanza goes, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to lay a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. This concept of worn out tools, each person is given a set of tools to make it through their third act, to make it through life in general. Those tools might be good looks, strength, there might be charm and personality, but as you get older, those tools begin to fade. That good looks begin to fade, the charm becomes corny, and your strength gets a little brittle. But that's when you need your tools the most, because that's when you're challenged with those rituals of midlife. I call them rituals because everyone goes through them. Everyone goes through different things. Everyone has experienced that. That's the whole concept around with worn out tools. And in my life, I go from celebrating my 50th birthday, which is one of the high marks of your life, to going to being a below knee amputee and figuring out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Wow, I see a lot of chats coming in. Henrietta, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you so much for joining. I want to read a passage from With Worn Out Tools. Just to share with you a little bit about my writing style and what you can expect from the book. As I said before, the overriding values of the book are resiliency, which I'm going to talk about today, optimistic humor, accountability, and relationship. I want to read a little bit about resiliency and this experience with resiliency. Let me set this up before I start to read. This was the moment that I was dropped off at a skilled nurse facility. As I said before, the process is that you get an amputation, you go through rehab, and then you go through a skilled nurse facility to be able to learn how to walk again with your prosthetic leg and to start your recovery. So they dropped me off at the skilled nurse facility on a weekend. Like I tell you, if you start at a skilled nursing facility on a weekend, it can be definitely difficult because there's no staff there. The little staff that there is pushed and limited, and you can't even get food or get some of the things you need to start off your time, because you're going to spend some time there getting recuperated. So this page or so of passage from my book is set up with that. It's from the chapter, A Skilled Nurse Facility. After the weekend, dietitian rustled me up some peanut butter and a salad, no dressing or tomatoes because of my limited diet. Grenada and God Emperor left me alone in my room. The remote for the flat screen did not work, and the facility's engineer, of course, was off duty for the weekend. Never start off your stay in a skilled nursing facility on the weekend, I thought silently. As I sat there alone, dejected and discouraged, I saw my prosthetic leg haphazardly propped up in the corner of the room on top of my personal effects. My wife and I nicknamed my prosthetic leg Ralph Lauren, or Ralphie for short. Ralph Lauren was short or code for residual limb. Although I got my leg in August, I had not spent any real time using it. As a matter of fact, my failing kidney caused me to gain nearly 90 pounds of fluid since my amputation. This fluid gain made it impossible for me to even stand up on my leg under my own power. I had not demonstrated that ability, or the strength, or the confidence, or even try to stand up without the assistance of 2 parallel bars at the rehab facility. But desperation, however, is a powerful motivator. And my introduction to a skilled nurse facility certainly filled me with desperation. With no distractions, I heard a refrain of that sermon in my mind once again, admonishing me to fight, fight, fight. With that talk track cutting through the silence of my room, I got dressed, transferred from my bed to my wheelchair, and rolled across the room to retrieve my prosthetic limb. I rolled back across the room and positioned my chair facing the bed. After strapping on Ralphie, I took a deep breath, leaned forward, and stood up on my leg under my own strength for the very first time. As I stood there with the chair behind me and the bed in front of me, in case I fell, I thought, I might make it through this. I might make it back to life. That's with One Out Tools, page 80 through 81. The chapter is A Skilled Nurse Facility. And that's a demonstration of the resilience I had, because as you know, to make it through something like this, or whatever your illness or whatever your midlife ritual is, It really takes resiliency to make it through. I like to tell people that one of the skills I learned, or one of the tools I came to adapt in my recovery, was hope. And hope doesn't happen like in the movies where you just hear a loud clap and people just get better. Hope is a wave. You have a little bit of hope, then you lose hope, and then you have to ride the wave through the next issue. As I've done podcasts to talk about my book, one question always people ask me, and I got that question on my last live, and they always ask me, "Did you ever lose hope? Were you ever discouraged?" And I'm a very positive person, as many of you commented on. I'm always looking towards the next good thing that's going to happen in my life. But what I want to tell people when they ask me that question, have I ever lost hope? I lost hope this morning. The process of getting out of my bed is so difficult. I have to put on my prosthetic legs, and I have to stand up on the legs and then turn to get into my wheelchair, because I'm mostly in a wheelchair a day. And that's discouraging. I don't know how I'm gonna go through my day to do the things I need to do to just stand up. But resiliency, as Kimberly Pickle says, accountability is important, resiliency is important as well. And they work together. So was I ever discouraged? Yes. Will I be discouraged tomorrow? Yes. But with resiliency, I'll pull through. I'll pull through. That's what with one of our tools, navigating the rituals of midlife is about. Once again, overriding values of resiliency, optimistic humor, accountability, and relationships. Wow, I have many comments coming in, trying to keep up with them. Zuri says, I can't imagine what you've been through, but here you are giving us hope and resiliency. Thank you for that comment, Zuri. I appreciate that. And some of it, Zuri, is the desire to let people learn from my mistakes. Because I've been a lifelong diabetic. I had lost 265 pounds to try to control my diabetes. And you know what, Zuri? Still, I did not rush to the hospital when I cut my leg, my ankle in my snow boot. I should have rushed to the hospital, but I was afraid. And in my mind, I was like, it'll be okay. I'll work this out. But sometimes when you go through life's traumas, you have to get a second opinion of a doctor, another person. And I even should have let my wife in, because my wife is my strongest supporter. She would have been upset with me, but she would have backed me up. And that's one other thing I talk about in my book with One Out Tools, that relationship with my wife. I had a friend of mine who passed away. He was an amputee. I went to high school with him, and we had amputations at the same time. And he unfortunately passed away. He wasn't married. He didn't have wonderful grandchildren. And the relationships I had with my children, my grandchildren, my wonderful wife, my pastor, my friends, my fraternity brothers, that's what drove me to get up. And also building a business, setting goals for myself. I'm convinced, had I hadn't lost all that weight, had I hadn't built my business and set goals to grow a business, I never would have got out of bed. I never would have got out of bed. But those things move me forward. Resiliency, optimistic humor, accountability, and relationships. Those things are important. And setting goals are as well. I've mentioned optimistic humor a couple times. And I got to admit, it hasn't been very funny. It's been a little heavy. But when you are an amputee, you have got to have a sense of humor. You got to learn how to laugh. My brother, who has been a great supporter of me in a relationship, he said the first time when he saw me with my below knee amputee, thank you, Zuri. The first time he saw me, saw my limb, He said, I referred to my limb as a stump. And then he laughed and said, Hey, Darren, when you refer to your limb as a stump, when I first saw your limb, I was very concerned. But when you refer to your limb as a stump, I was like, wow, he has a sense of humor about this. He's laughing through this. And yes, you have to learn how to laugh at these issues. And I have humor throughout my book. Part of it is growing my career. I was a call center, uh, director of call center operations for a large retail organization. A lot of funny things happen in the call center space that I write about in growing my career. But also just having, being a double amputee, a lot of funny things happen as well. You know, the first thing people ask you is when they see you, they ask you, how'd you lose your legs? And I used to say, you know, nothing special like a snake bite or a motorcycle accident, but just good old fashioned diabetes. But I wanted something a little snappier. I wanted something a little funnier. And what I now say is that I was attacked by a wild pack of chihuahuas, and my ankles are as high up as they could reach. You got to learn to laugh. You got to learn to laugh. I hope that you've had a laugh at my expense. You know, and falling down is a big part of it as well. Falling down is a big part of being a double amputee because you're learning balance. You might have an imbalance in your prosthetics. They might not be on tightly, but falling, it's kind of funny too. Don't get me wrong. It's dangerous when you fall. I've had some incredible experiences falling. Like the first time I was leaving my apartment to take a drive with my wife, and I fell, bam, right out of the apartment. And my next door neighbors were coming in. I never met before. I'm laying down and shaking their hands like as I meet them, and it was kind of humorous, waiting for the emergency crew to come pick me up. Also, one time I was walking through the hospital here, a hospital here for a meeting, a Toastmasters meeting. I'm a member of Toastmasters, and I fell on the way with no one around until these 20 nursing students came and picked me up. I gotta admit, it was funny and it was kind of fun too. Those nursing students were strong. Those are stories I share, some of them, and with Worn Out Tools. And also, I'm trying to build a speaking career with Worn Out Tools as well. So if you are interested in me speaking to your group or organization, reach out to me at dclyons at Courier, KORRIOR.com. That's how you can reach me if you're interested in me speaking to your group or organization. Tamar Worrell writes, Hi DC, were there any specific challenges you faced while writing about the protagonist's health challenges? And how did you navigate those challenges in your storytelling? That's great. You know, I wrote a lot of my story tomorrow as I was going through dialysis. I had 4 hours of nothing to do but have a needle in my arm. And so to kind of heal this trauma, I started writing my stories and started writing my books. And it has been difficult as I reflect on the stories, but also it's been kind of healing for me. And I encourage everyone tomorrow to write down their stories. One of the things I do as an executive coach, I have about 15 to 20 executive coaching clients in 4 countries. And I say that my goal is to get thoughts and ideas out of people's heads and transition those thoughts and ideas into breakthrough. And that's what I did with Worn Out Tools, Navigating the Rituals of Midlife. I took them out of my head and got those and transform those thoughts into breakthrough. A good book. Can you share a memorable fan interaction or experience relating to your book? Yes, I've done a couple of book fairs, and I've had the opportunity to talk about my story with people, and people saying, hey, I'm going to add to your story now with this experience. Also, and this is funny, I become friends with my wife's ex-husband. I know it's unusual, but we've done some business together, and we love the same people, the same grandkids. and he's read my book, and he was very excited about the book because he had cancer, and he said he gained so much from our book, and he gave me a nice phrase. He said that the thing about worn out tools is they can be sharpened again. And I've used that over and over in all of my interactions. So that's one of the most powerful experiences I've had when I know that people have had health experiences, cancer, or other experiences, and they gain inspiration from my book. And I love sharing that experience with them, with those people. And I would love to do small book readings to share that experience with other people that have read my book. I'm involved in a clubhouse community, and many of those people have read my book, and they share how they helped it, and even given that book to people who've had amputations. And I believe my story is powerful for people who've had any been in the throes of any comeback. However, it's really special when it's someone with an amputation. Hey, Joyce, DC, what do you see yourself 5 years from now as an author and as an individual who wants to inspire others? Two things. I thought of a sequel to With Worn Out Tools. I even have a title for it. And I like to do that in the next 5 years. Also, I would like to grow a speaking business where I get a chance to share my story live with people, whether it is virtual or whether in person. I would love, I used to travel the world in management. I would love to travel the world again. It'd be a little different because I need to go around in a wheelchair, but I would love to travel the world again, telling my story, speaking. But thank goodness we are in this climate where the world comes to you in your living room like you all are doing. Thank you so much, JP. I appreciate the opportunity to share my story, and I would love it if you all would grab my book. You can grab it from Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble or anywhere books are sold. You can grab an autographed copy from my website, www.korrior.com. Just send me a note there. There's a page where you can order a book. Yeah. Oh, Elizabeth, great question. What advice can you give to our audience in terms of accountability? Great question. That's another value in my book. One of the things that I was not accountable for, when I met my wife, I promised her that I would lose weight and take care of my health. And I did lose weight. I lost 265 pounds, and I went from being 465 to being 190 or so. But Elizabeth, I was not accountable for the rest of it. I didn't take care of my health. And when I had a trauma, like cutting my leg, I didn't get it taken care of immediately. And my wife has been so supportive of me. Now, she's no pushover. She pushes me. I guess what I've learned most about accountability is do those things that are hard first, because in the end, it'll become easier. It's easier to do a thing now than to put it off and wait, because you'll have to deal with the consequences. It's a ritual. It's a ritual. Oh, wow. Wow, what a coincidence. I managed a 1-800 call center tool, one in Davao and one in Cebu. I've been to Davao and to Cebu. I managed those relationships for a while, and I had the opportunity to travel to Cebu and to Davao. At Cebu, I stayed in a wonderful resort as well. It was beautiful. And Davao as well. It was just a great experience. Wonderful people. Wonderful people. Nice to meet you, John. Oh, Convergence. Okay. All right. Didn't have a relationship with Convergence, but absolutely heard of you all. I write a lot about my experience as a call center manager, John, in the book. I think you would really enjoy it because there's some very interesting things that you go through in the call center experience. So please pick up a copy of it. I would love to hear your thoughts about my call center experience. There's a story of me managing someone who was eating a rib, and I wondered how they would manage their AHT in eating a rib. My alarm's going off. I think I have a little more time if there are any other questions. Well, listen, I am so honored that you all showed up today for my live session in the Storytellers Festival, the Online Storytellers Festival. It's the 5th version of this. I've been so honored to be a part of it. I've enjoyed sharing my story. I hope you will buy my book, and I hope you stay in contact with me. Send me an email to dclyons@korrior.com to stay in contact with me. And if you need a speaker for your group or organization, I would love to do a keynote for your group. And please pick up a copy of my book. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. On the next time I will be doing a live session will be Monday. I'll do a live session on Monday, I believe 11 Eastern or so. All right. Thank you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.